anywhere in the United States within an hour. So I think it's an industry that's going to continue to be under pressure. But I think it's going to be there. I think the biggest challenge is not only the pressure that they're seeing from a margin perspective against those three buckets that we talked about, but it's also, the size of the stores. Just because of the change in retail, the whole model was to have these massive 14,000 square foot stores, and you had things like photo and Hallmark cards, and as those things evolve or become extinct, you've got more and more room in the stores that can't really be made up with, or hasn't been shown to be able to be made up with other strategies. So you may have a model where the stores are just too large. So I think it is going to be, an industry that's struggling. Rite Aid in particular, we didn't talk about them, specifically, but Rite Aid in particular, I think, is in a really difficult spot. When Walgreens, changed the structure of that deal to only buy half the stores versus the entire entity, it really left Rite Aid in a no man's land. It leaves them with, around 2,000 stores. It doesn't give them great, complete national coverage. It doesn't let them participate really in national networks. A lot of people talk about their PBM Envision, which is really too small to matter. In the 2 years that they were waiting for the Walgreens deal to go through, their stores really continue to suffer, and they don't have the dollars to invest in their stores to even compete with Walgreens and CVS. And their management team, isn't the most innovative. The guy who's running pharmacy for Rite Aid is somebody who was a 35-year veteran of Walgreens. And so if you're thinking about the changes that are going in the market and the need for innovation, you may not want the person who was a 35-year veteran, who was one of the first people ousted from, Walgreens when Stefano took over to run the pharmacy. So I just think Rite Aid's going to be in trouble. And then Walmart is really just a different kind of model, almost entirely. So they're the fourth largest specialty pharmacy. They churned through a number of leaders running their pharmacy. They just announced, actually, within the past month or so, that they had brought on a new person to run their healthcare strategy. So it remains to be seen, what the impact of that will be. And then the Rite Aid, obviously the announced intention of Rite Aid to merge with one of the large supermarket chains here called Albertsons, which is owned by a private equity firm called Cerberus. So again, it kind of remains to be seen if that goes through. There's some churn there. I don't think it's going to be particularly healthy. There's some pretty big differences between how traditional retail pharmacy works and how supermarket pharmacy works, and don't see that there's going to be a ton of synergy.
Can I interrupt you there, because you just made me think about some of the other questions that we have. So I think we sort of, I suppose we struggle with Walgreens because we're not sure what Pacina's strategy is, and he doesn't want to tell the market. And it's interesting in the context of the approach that CVS are taking. CVS, as you mentioned earlier on, are looking at vertically integrating with, and forgive me, I might say it wrong, Aetna, subject to approval, where Walgreens seems to be sort of playing around the edges. But you have seen consolidation in this market, as you alluded to, in terms of Express Scripts and I want to say another one, Cigna.
Cigna.
Right. So I would like to move on to Amazon and understanding what your thoughts are about the rebate in the system. But do you think Pacina has a clear strategy about where he sees the market going, or do you think they are still struggling to understand how to get Walgreens to work in light of all the issues that you've highlighted? Do you think he's going to surprise us next week with some amazing deal, or what could he do?
So I think it's a great question. So it's a decent amount to unpack there. So I think there's a couple of things. I honestly do think that Pacina's initial strategy, and I was certainly there when they were developing that strategy, and I haven't been there for 3 years, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. It could have changed, but really was that pharmacy would continue to be under pressure, and that they needed to get the front end moving better. And I really do believe that they thought that going what they called big in beauty